Real people, real opinions.
Real Talk Radio. The multi-award-winning Niall Boylan Show.
Ireland's classic hits.
Speaking of prison, by the way, it may not come as a great surprise to many, but homicide has increased in this country. And of course, I think we all know that. However, the rate at which it has increased is quite something. Latest figures from the CSO show that the number of murders has nearly doubled in the last 12 months to the end of June 2023, compared to the previous year. And the number of murders went from 24 to 47 incidents. Other offences involving robbery, extortion, hijacking increased by 21%, up to 410 to 2,328 incidents. There's no doubt the country's getting a little bit more dangerous, but mind you, the population is increasing too. Now, this leads us to wonder, is our prison system equipped to deal with this increase in criminality? Remember, we only have about 5,000 prison spaces. And more to the point, what is the function of our prison service? Is it for retribution? In other words, revenge or punishment? Or is it for rehabilitation? To give somebody a second chance at life and rehabilitate them to join society again so they won't be a danger to us. If you murder someone or violently rob somebody, let's leave the petty stuff out of this for the moment, okay? The kind of, the robberies and stuff like that. I'm not suggesting it's not, of course, there's a victim to that. I'm sure if it's you that you're the victim, it's not petty. But you understand what I'm saying? Are you being locked away as a punishment or so you can become a better person and a better member of society? Which is it? And which is better for society? Like, for example, we've seen examples in places like Norway where they have a prison that's close to a beach. And prisoners are allowed to sit on the beach. Prisoners have a nice room with a nice widescreen television and a PlayStation in their own cells. It's like a hotel. And their argument is, if you treat prisoners well, they won't reoffend. And there is research to show that. If you treat them like shit, they'll feel like shit. And they'll come out of prison and reoffend again. Because here's the thing. Unlike, say, America, where life means the rest of your life, in most countries in the world, life doesn't mean the rest of your life. It means about 20 years. So at some point, that rapist or that murderer or that paedophile or whatever it is will be released from jail. So should prison be about retribution? And of course, if it was your family member that was killed, raped, murdered, whatever, you would want retribution because that's a human instinct, isn't it? But does the state want retribution? Because that makes the state no better than the criminal, doesn't it? Or does the state want rehabilitation? So, in your eyes and your view, what is prison for? Is it for retribution or rehabilitation? And the number, as usual, is 087 188 0008. That's 087 188 0008. So, is prison about revenge and retribution, or is it about rehabilitation? Let me know what you think. Let me go to Terry. Terry, hi, how are you?
How you doing, Niall?
Good. Terry, what's your view of prison? What's it actually for?
I'm unsure, but I think if you look at the prison population, there's probably about 20% of them only that needs to be in prison. I think the other 80% of them are probably, it's petty crime. It's probably reoccurring crimes, which is probably for,
fraud,
small little robbery,
whatever, robberies, yeah,
small little things like that. And I think that
I'm not paying your television license.
Yeah, if you go deeper than that, it's probably there's a lot of people that have drug addiction are in there, and they should be in treatment centres rather than in prison.
But the reason they're generally in there is not because of their drug addiction. It's because of the crimes they committed to feed the habit.
Yeah, to feed the habit. So that's why they should be in drug treatment centres rather than in prison, because what treatment are they getting? No, and then again, the other part is some people cannot get into drug treatment centres, and when they go into prison helps them with their drug addiction. Mm-hmm. It's a flip of a coin. But there's probably about maybe 15% of the population that are kind of
So your feeling is the only people should be in there are those who are a physical danger to society.
Yeah, Yeah.
Well, okay. So, in other words, those who commit fraud, robbery, I don't know, bank theft, whatever it is, or don't hurt anybody in the interim, they should get community service, maybe, or larger fines, or whatever it is.
Yeah. Yeah, well, look at how many of the white-collar crimes is in prison.
Well, some of them,
Like,
everybody
very
says
few of
that.
them end up.
I know, but I remember people saying to me, nobody from the banks went to jail. They did, actually. 3 or 4 of them went to jail. Now, not for a very long period of time, but they did.
Three or four of them.
Yeah.
3 or 4 of them.
Yeah.
If you look at how many people are in prison there, like I do know a fella that, he has died since, but he was homeless. A homeless fella, and I was talking to him one time, and he used to love going into prison for the winter because he says he got a packet of tobacco, he got 3 meals a day, and he got a bed.
I'm aware of a person who went to jail because he wanted to get his teeth done. And committed. He already had a string of offences, but committed another one. And he was convinced that they'd bring him to jail. And on numerous occasions, he just kept giving him suspended sentences. But he went to jail because he needed to get his teeth done. He wanted to get a few implants, but it would cost him too much money. So he figured if he go to jail for a couple of months, he'd get it done quicker.
Yeah, and they do get looked after. I'm not saying that prison. So it just does say that prison kind of is a good place to go to.
Well, yeah, it's not a holiday camp. We know that.
Amount of people.
Yeah.
It's filled up with the wrong amount of people. Like, how many people are in there for just a fine, or, and then how many people are outside that have created bigger crimes out on bail and blah blah blah. You know what I mean? So
Do you think we should? Look at the prisons in America, as they call them, penitentiaries. I mean, that's a privatized system. It's a private company that run all those because of a large population, of course. And people go to jail for a lot less than they go to jail over here for, because we don't have the prison space, and judges are aware of that, so they let a lot of people off with suspended sentences. Do you think we should have more prisons and put more people in jail? No, obviously not.
No, I don't think we should have more prisons, but I think maybe if you invested more in the people that are in front of the courts, in what really needs to help them, that they probably wouldn't reoffend again. There is about 15-20% of the people that are just fucking absolutely off the rockers or whatever. Yeah. And society needs to be protected from them. But the other 80% that's in there, I guarantee if you went in and went on to every lantern in the prison, I guarantee you'd find maybe out of every 20 prisoners, there's probably only 5 of them really kind of are
lubers.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I do get what you mean, and I do believe community service should be used a lot more. But stay there for a second, Terry. Let me go to Tina as well. Tina, hi, how are you doing? You're on Ireland's Classic Hits Radio.
Hi, Niall. How are you?
Good. Tina, I mean, do you believe prison is about, punishment or rehabilitation? What's the purpose of prison?
Well, I think it should be a bit of both. Because, I mean, like, a murderer, obviously, or somebody who's up for manslaughter or arson or something like that, the time should fit the crime, but it never does.
Yeah.
That's like, most lads that I know that have gone to prison, it's like a halfway house. Do you know what I mean? Like, I never hear of, like, any kind of punishment that they've been put through since they went in there. Rehabilitation.
Well, I mean,
like,
the punishment, but the punishment, Tina, is that you're losing your liberty. That's the punishment, isn't it?
That's not, but like, is that really punishment enough, to be fair? Like,
I wouldn't like it.
While they're in there as well.
Well, no. I mean, then they'll sue the state. But I mean, the whole idea. Well, you don't kind of, you're not meant to treat people badly. When I say badly,
well, the people who treated these people badly didn't give a shit before they went to prison.
No, I know.
So we can't be calling. They're not exactly victims either. Like.
No, I'm not saying you treat it like a holiday camp either. But what I'm saying to you is,
Castlereagh's a holiday camp.
Well, they have human rights allegedly.
Yeah, I know, but the people they hurt did too.
I completely,
I
empathise with it, and I completely understand that.
They should be taking some of their liberties. Like, I mean, they shouldn't have so many liberties, depending on the crime. This thing, like, of being able to go back to your cell at night and you have a TV, you got your phone, you have everything. Jesus, even when a child is bold, you take their liberties from them, don't you?
Yeah, but there's a bit of a myth. I don't think they have phones. Where did you get that from?
I've been rang from prison. Hello.
I know there was a guy on Joe Duffy's show one day ringing from prison, but those phones are illegal. They're smuggled in.
Prisons don't mind phones. All they have to do is plug themselves in. They're in. you know. But,
Yeah.
like, you know, they're, like, as that other lady said, like, they're putting people into prison for silly things. I mean, right now, walking down Galway at night time, you're taking your life in your hands. I'm sure you, no more than everyone else, has seen that 4.5-minute video that's going around of all the fighting that's been going on in
I've
Galway
seen
the
it,
past
yeah.
few
Come,
months.
yeah, they come Discover Ireland, come to Galway one, yeah.
And a couple of guards then are trying to get involved, and they're pushed out of the way. And what do they do? They stand there watching it.
No, I know I've seen the video, and it's awful because it does highlight the problem of violence on the streets, yeah.
Anymore.
Yeah.
Prison was never really a scary place in Ireland anyway. You know, like in other prisons, they're so toxic and they're that.
But should it be
they're
like that? Should Irish prisons be like, you've heard of the Bangkok Hilton? Well, maybe you have or haven't,
Well,
right?
no, I don't mean like, I mean, they obviously need to have their basic human rights. Do you know what I'm saying? But like at the end of the day, most of the people that are coming out are laughing at the screws by the time they get out. Do you know what I mean? Like, it shouldn't be a holiday camp just because we're in 2023. Like, they have to have something taken
Well, yeah,
away.
but you're on one hand, you're saying to me, you know, like Terry, it should be about rehabilitation, and some of those people shouldn't even be in there. But on the other hand, you don't want it to be like a holiday camp, and you believe it should be for punishment.
That's my point.
So-
you know, people should come out of prison never wanting to go back in there again. That's the way it should be.
Yeah, but-
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
But
sorry.
there needs to be support in place for them. You know, they're coming out of prison and there's no support in place for them. That's the whole thing. So it becomes a revolving door.
But I thought that most people that come out of prison, like, straight away, they're given a free gap and they're put
No,
up
they're not.
somewhere because they won't be just
No,
but they're
they're
not
not.
just thrown out in the street, like.
I don't know. Now, I beg to differ on that because if you speak to somebody out on the streets like that are homeless and you know that drug addiction and all of that has them there, like they're reoccurring prisoners and they've
Well,
been
I
in
suppose
the
if we're
system for
specifically
10.
on about drugs, yeah.
Yeah,
But-
they're specifically gone through the system for 10, 15 years. Obviously, at some stage, you're going to have to say, what the fuck is going wrong here? Like, we
Yeah,
should
they're
have
going
fixed
on
this
10,
problem
15 years and
ago.
exactly, and they're on the same roundabout.
Yeah.
I mean,
Exactly.
somebody. Well, hang on, ladies. So, Tina, somebody did text in. They said, "Try the Midlands prison. Believe me, you wouldn't want to go back. Mark Nash, the serial killer, and Graham Dwyer are in there, and many more of Ireland's most dangerous killers are in the Midlands prison." I'm not too sure exactly if that's correct, whether they are there, but he claims they are. And the point is, I suppose, that he's making is that if you go into jail, you know, even into Mountjoy, there are hardened people in there that you wouldn't want to be rubbing shoulders with. So that's enough, surely, to make somebody not want to go back in again.
Yeah, petty offenders, yeah.
Yeah.
But petty offenders, as that lady said, petty offenders should be getting community service. You know, there should be beds clean up the area, things like that they do anyway. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, paint the library. Yeah.
Yeah, like I know a
Look
person
at-
that
look at
had a few grand in fines. They went up in a cab, spent 2 hours in the cell and was turned back around, back down home, and the fines were squashed. So what's that teaching them? That's after the next time, sure, we'll take a spin up to Mountjoy and we'll spend a couple of hours.
But
with
sure,
them.
there was a guy in the paper there last night, and he's in jail at the moment, probably not for a very long time, but he has 300, I think it was 300 suspended sentences or charges for no insurance, no tax, no license. He's banned from driving. Seemingly he likes cars, but he's been caught over 100 times with no insurance on his car.
But what does that show you? The punishment he got the first to the 99th time made no difference to him. This is my point. The punishment isn't fitting the crime. You know, they're like, you know, they're getting away with murder, if you pardon the pun, like. You know? So I just don't know what's gone wrong. The police system in this country is fucked up anyway.
Okay, well, hang on. Just before the break, let me just go to Niamh as well. Niamh, hi, how are you doing? You're on Ireland's Classic Hits Radio. Niamh, is prison about revenge or retribution? Or
I think it's
rehabilitation?
about revenge. I think it should be about both. There has to be a punishment element of it. But I agree wholeheartedly with 99.9% of what Terry was saying. I think it's ridiculous that we're putting people in prison for the likes of not paying a TV licence, even for the likes of fraud. What we should be doing in that situation is making the person work and then garnering their wages so that money goes back to the people they actually frauded. I mean, the victim gets nothing out of them being in prison. They've lost thousands.
Well, they get
perhaps.
justice, don't they? I suppose.
They get justice, but justice doesn't pay your bills when you've lost thousands
I
to a
said that
fraudster.
at the time in relation to the bankers, those from Anglo-Irish that time. And I said, Let them, I said, as punishment, let them work for the state because they're clever people. Let them work for the state, not get paid for 3 years.
Or they could
give
work
a basic
for the state,
wage.
Or no, give them what a proportion of what they did earn, but they live on social welfare, and what they did earn goes directly to the victims.
Yeah, okay.
Victims.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be a lot of them. I think if we had less petty criminals in jail, there'd be more room to sentence people properly. You see, like when you said, "Is it about revenge?" It made me think about the person that went to prison for what he did to me. I didn't want revenge. I wanted justice. You know, revenge wasn't going to help me.
I don't want to go into it too deeply, and just to remind people, sadly, you were raped many years ago, Niamh, and again, I'm sorry to hear that because I didn't know that until you told me that time. But when you say you didn't want revenge, was there not a part of you that wanted retribution?
I wanted justice. I wanted him to do time. But revenge was like me drinking poison and expecting him to die. It wasn't going to hurt him. It was just going to eat me up. Now, it took a lot of counselling for me to get to that point, trust me. But it was only going to eat me alive. I was going to become a bitter, hardened old bitch, and I didn't want that. He didn't deserve that. He took enough. He wasn't getting that too.
Yeah.
So I think if we had less people in prison for not paying their TV licence, for perhaps...
the whole TV licence thing, right? Just to put the nail in the head. Nobody spends time in jail. It's a complete waste of time. They get 2 guards to call to your house. You're put in the back of a police car. You're brought to Mountjoy. You're signed in. Your clothes are taken off you. They give you a little jumpsuit or whatever it is you put on you. You're put into a cell for 20 minutes while they decide what to do with you. Then you're released again and put back out and given your bus fare home. It's a complete waste of money, time. I mean, 2 guards have to be paid to pick you up. You know, the services, the prison officers. It's a complete waste of time.
But if we had less people for petty stuff, if we had less people for petty stuff, we could perhaps actually sentence people correctly because we'd have more room in the prisons to keep them in there for longer. You know, it seems like we're rushing people out because we've a whole load of new people to get in. You know, like 4 years for certain crimes, it's not good enough. You know, that might sound like I'm looking for revenge, but that is a form of justice. I mean, you have done a heinous crime against a person, whether it's rape, murder, abuse of a child or an adult. You should be doing a serious amount of time because the person you've hurt is doing life.
There's a huge disparity in the sentencing given out in Irish courts. I mean, with a very classic case going back some time ago of the man who got 6 years for not paying tax on garlic. And in the meantime, if somebody on a manslaughter case gets 5 years. So there's a huge disparity in relation to how we treat people in the courts and the sentence are given. Sorry, Terry, you wanted to say something there?
But who makes money out of the justice system? It's only the lawyers and you have somebody that's going to court. You have someone that's going to court, and next of all, they say, well, we bring you in the next time, we bring you in the next time. So each time they're getting legal aid or whatever, or maybe not, maybe they're not getting it. But each time they go into court, the solicitor makes money or the barrister makes money. And they're probably after going into court about 5-6 times. They're after robbing an apple, just say. I'm only just saying that.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And they're after robbing an apple, and it's after costing the taxpayer €1,000 for each time that they went into court. And next of all, they're after getting a strikeout, they're after getting found not guilty, or they're after getting, and at the end of the day, the only people that's making money out of this system is legal. It's the legal system, the legal thing. So is that not a form of... They need to be locked up for what they're doing. Because anyone that goes into court for a small charge should be just allowed plead there and then, get it over and done with, let the judge do whatever he has to do, community service. It would serve them better to just do community service for
I think your alarm is going to go off there, Terry, in the background. Sorry.
Probably is, yeah.
Do me a favour, Niamh and Terry, if you can. I want to come to Conor as well after the break. I want to get your view of this, by the way. Do you believe that prison, for the serious criminals, should it be about retribution, punishment, revenge?
Ireland's Classic Hits Radio.
Niamh, you've been listening to other people just before I go to Conor talking about, retribution, revenge. And again, I'm going to ask you the same question, which is going to sound a bit repetitious in relation to your case. I know, the thing about it is, when that individual or that scumbag got out of jail, you would like to think it doesn't happen to anybody else. So rehabilitation is important. Although I think some people can't be rehabilitated. I think just some people will naturally reoffend. But I do believe there's also an element of revenge, because if you were my wife or my daughter, I would want revenge on your behalf.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, of course, everyone did. You know, you're kind of contending with that as well. You're dealing with your own shit, and then you were kind of dealing with everyone else's anger and hurt, and that was hard, you know, because you were trying to kind of just keep yourself above water.
Yeah.
It's a natural, of course. I mean, there was no one more angry than me. There was no one that, you know, not to put too fine a point on it, would have liked to have put a bullet between his eyes than me.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was only with help that I kind of learned that I was only hurting myself with those feelings, because he didn't give a shit about me.
No.
He was sitting in that prison or in that house before he was tried. Probably didn't even remember or care or give a second thought to it. So the only person I was hurting by constantly this anger, and I did have a lot of anger. I mean, I spent about 3 weeks drunk at the time because I just couldn't face it.
Yeah.
But it was only when I finally agreed, and it took people to force me to go and get help, so I didn't even want to talk about it.
And if other people are talking about it, I suppose you kind of have a feeling at the time is, why are you, this is my thing. Stop trying to take it away from me, this anger.
Not even that. It's that they all have an opinion. And sometimes, because you're so heightenedly sensitive to absolutely everything that is said, the slightest word that somebody, and everyone is human, and no one is professional in your family. So they can say something, and you'll turn around and take the absolute head off. Then what do you mean? Are you accusing me of something? Are you saying I did this or I did that? They're not. But it's a really difficult one. That's why now I'm a real advocate for people getting help. But it took a long time for me to act, you know. Well, I remember the first time I went in and I sat for an hour and said nothing. And the woman was brilliant. She just sat there and she just doodled away. And I walked out and well, that was shit. But I went back. And then second time I might have spoken for about 10 minutes. Third, fourth, fifth time couldn't shut me up.
Yeah.
So,
but it does take time to kind of let it all out and let all your thoughts out. But stay there for a second, Niamh, because I want to go to Connor. Connor, hi, how are you? Sorry for keeping you so long. I'm sorry to Angelina and Mick as well. I'm going to come to both of you at some point very soon. Sorry, Connor, go ahead.
Oh, it's cool. All I have is admiration for Niamh, by the way. Fair play to her.
Yeah. Must be very difficult for anybody to go through something like that. Yeah.
Oh, 100%. But the fact she came out the other end of it, I'd like to think, meaning people who serve prison time can come out the other end of it. Obviously, they're particular lads, and there's no chance for them at all. And unfortunately, they have to stay locked up. But I mean, majority of people in prison, it's a total waste of time and a total waste of taxpayers' money, total waste of our time and their time. Meaning, if someone robs something, they should be given back to the community for the amount they robbed. Let's just say they robbed €2,000. They should be putting in 2,000 hours worth of community service. You get me? Like,
I get you.
To pay back their dues in society.
Yeah, working in the council or something like that. Yeah.
Oh, 100%. But even around Mount Joy, just go walking down the street. I know. Each year they're like tidy towns in Ireland, meaning around Mount Joy, around them areas, around my area. Sorry, we never get tidy towns. Meaning, why not have the lads out painting and cleaning?
Yeah.
Meaning, what the hell they doing sitting in a cell just bulking up?
Yeah.
And whatever, you know.
Well, some of them, I mean, you have the likes of Joe O'Reilly, of course, who was in there for murder. He's in there doing a law degree. You know what I mean? These people are educating themselves and and doing things that most of us couldn't afford to do because they're in the prison service and they're they're compliments to the state.
Absolutely. Well, why? Why would we allow that? Like, you know, particularly for the likes of him, like, you know.
Yeah. Toe rag, absolute scumbag. I'm allowed to call him that, by the way. It's not defamation.
Yeah. But I mean, I hate to make this into a cartoon, but I mean, if the film Cape Fears taught us anything, like, you know, I mean, it shouldn't be giving these lads access to books at all to educate themselves, like, you know.
Well, stay there for a second. Let me just go to Angelina as well before I go into the break too. Angelina, hi, how are you?
Take care.
Hi, Niall. I was just thinking, like, obviously some people should be locked up or whatever, but like not all people that do go in are bad people. Like me personally, my brother is in prison, and he wasn't a bad person. Like he was set up. Now there are like different prisons, so there is like
when you say he was set up, right? I mean, he was obviously involved in crime.
Yeah, he got done dirty. Realistically, he had a company, and there was like stuff put in his company workload, and he was moving it, but he didn't know that they were there. Do you know what I mean? And he got an extremely reduced sentence, thank God. But now he's in an open prison. So there are different types of prisons as well. So I don't think everyone should go into, like, because he went first into Mountjoy, which was a shithole realistically. And now he's in an open prison, and he's working every day on a farm and everything, goes fishing and everything. So people who like don't do serious crimes, there should be like, you shouldn't go to the Joy straight away. And that open prison as well, like you get sent straight back to the Joy or Wheatfield or something like that the minute you do something wrong. So the people in those open prisons genuinely want to do good with their life. And like my brother couldn't read or write before he even went in, and now he's reading books and writing letters to us and everything.
And I do understand the point you're making, Angelina, that you're basically what you're saying is your brother is not a danger to society. Now, some might argue, depending on his crime, that he may be a danger to others if it was drugs or if it was money laundering or if it was fraud or whatever. I don't know what the crime was that he was convicted of. But in saying that, he's not going to physically go out and hit somebody with a hammer because he's not a violent person. So, but I do understand what you're saying, but sometimes people would argue that open prisons for somebody who's committed murder, for example, is hardly punishment. You know, I mean, if you're going out fishing and you're, you know, doing the gardening every day, okay, you can't leave. Well, you can. Yeah, they do let you leave every now and again to go shopping and stuff like that. But and that's only towards the end of your sentence. But they might think it's a bit too easy.
Now, there actually is someone who shares a cell with him, and he's done for murder, and he's in the open prison for life. Now, he done this crime in the 90s. He murdered his parents and his neighbours in the one day. Okay, wow. And he's in the open prison for life, so he's just living his life. To be honest, I was making a joke to him, being like, you know, this is kind of like a nursing home, isn't it? And he was like, yeah. I was like, do you like it? We sign you up for one now.
And how long more is he going to be in there for?
Till next summer.
Okay. I know you're thinking to yourself, whatever crime he committed, you're kind of letting me know that there's kind of no real victims. But there are victims. There's victims to every crime, Angelina.
Yeah, but he wasn't aware of things that, like, he was supposed to get 10 years and got 2 instead.
Okay. So obviously there was evidence produced in court that there was a level of ignorance.
Yeah. So the judge, see, like, if you've been caught like in that situation, like, do you know what I mean? Like, the judge can't let everyone away that says something like that. The judge can't believe everyone that says something like that. But the judge did not think he was. The judge thought he was innocent, so the judge was like, I can only give you the minimum sentence. Okay, so the judge believed him, but because, of course, he was still guilty of the crime, he had to give him the minimum sentence. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, he was okay. Just very quickly, caught red-handed. Niamh, I get the picture Angelina's painting there. That obviously her brother was kind of set up to some degree. He pleaded ignorance to the law. There were no real victims, although there may be, and I don't know whether it was drugs or what it was. Was it drugs, Angelina? Yeah. Okay. Now, don't get me wrong now. Don't get me wrong. Like, there are people who should be in a joy for life. Don't get me wrong. But I think there should be some sort of, not segregation, I don't know what word to use, but... Yeah, I get the point you're making. So Niamh, does she make a fair point that somebody like that maybe shouldn't be in a hardened prison?
Absolutely. I mean, I think it's wonderful that he's learned to read and write, and I mean that hopefully will absolutely stand to him when he gets out next summer. But I'm not quite sure what anyone is gaining from him being in there. It's, and Anthony, please don't take this the wrong way. I don't mean this insultingly, but he's costing the state a lot of money to be in there, and he just seems to, his crime was perhaps, just being a little bit naive. And, God, we could all have done that at some stage in our lives. I'm just not quite sure where the gain is, except for the fact that he's learned to read and write, which is brilliant for him.
Real people, real opinions.
Real Talk Radio, the multi-award winning Niall Boylan Show.